Sometimes I wonder if what we are doing looks like a midlife crisis from the outside. We sold everything, we left the UK to travel full time as a family. And back in the day, if someone had done something like that, people might have thought something's gone wrong. But what if nothing's gone wrong? What if there's no midlife crisis? I keep noticing that more and more people, not just in their 40s and 50s, but in their 30s and even late 20s, are starting to ask the question, is this it? They're asking questions like, is this what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? In jobs? Is this where I'm going to live for the rest of my life? Is this it? Is this life? And when people ask these questions, it's like people think there's a crisis. They label it as a crisis. But I'm starting to wonder if it's something else. Maybe it's not midlife. Maybe it's mid-pattern. The moment you realise that you're living on autopilot and you don't want to anymore. Is it instability or is it living with intention? Hi, I'm Carrie. If you're new here, I talk about all things mindfulness, living mindfully from my perspective as a woman, as a wife, and as a mother. So if that sounds like you, you're very welcome here and you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. So let's start with my story, our story as a family. I'm not going to go into all of it. I've got a year's worth of content here. It's taken a year for us to get here. We are currently in Malaysia, travelling full time as a family. But sort of what instigated that? I think because I live intentionally, because I live mindfully, and I'm very reflective, I was constantly aware that things weren't right. Hubby was working away. I was home educating the girls on my own. And it wasn't how we wanted to live. We wanted to live like a family. We wanted to see each other. So we changed things. We downsized initially our 4-bed to a 2-bed. We started home educating the girls. Hubby couldn't take his 9 to 5 anymore, so he was feeling uncomfortable in that, and that's why he ended up going back working in the woods and working away. But it took its toll, and that instigated it. And because we were home educating, we were aware of the term world schooling, and we just thought that was something out there one day. But enough was enough. And I think sometimes the comfortable becomes uncomfortable. And that was it. We sold everything. We put the house on the market, started selling everything, started looking into this really, and we just did it. It took a year. We lost the house sale once, so went back on, and it took a year. You can see it all on my channel, all the trials and tribulations. But that's why we're here. That's why we're doing what we're doing. But what is midlife crisis? Often it's stereotyped from a 50-plus-year-old man getting a big sports car, maybe having affairs, definitely getting a younger woman. That's the stereotype, right? What tends to cause it? What do we think causes these midlife crises? There's a lot of terms flying about, waking up, or things happening in life, like yourself or those close to you might get sick, or people around you might die that are your age, and we sort of wake up and we start to question and get curious with our lives. Is this how we want to live it? Is there more to life than paying the bills? And we start asking these questions, don't we? So that's the stereotype, isn't it? What we think is midlife, or what we used to think was a midlife crisis. And what's the definition? So the definition says, a period of doubt, anxiety, and dissatisfaction that some people experience in middle age. That kind of gels, doesn't it? Anxiety, dissatisfaction with life, midlife. What is midlife? I mean, some people live till they're 80 to they're 100. 3 or 4 of our parents died in their 60s. What is midlife anymore? I don't think we can take for granted how long we're going to live. So what even is midlife? Is that why midlife, this is what I'm saying, is getting earlier and earlier with people? But the thing back in the day, the midlife crisis, this stereotype, does relate to this definition. But I'm questioning that. I'm questioning in this video what midlife crisis is and the terms, that term and that stereotype, because I don't think it's that anymore. Midlife, not so much. I've just said people in the late 20s, 30s are questioning this now. It doesn't have to be midlife. Crisis, is it? People label this, oh, he's going through a midlife crisis, or he's having a nervous breakdown. That's another term people used to use, isn't it? He's having a breakdown. Really? Because we're questioning life, because we're questioning the narrative, because we're questioning expectations, because we're questioning the people pleasing, that's a crisis? I don't think it is. What do you think? So here's what I keep coming back to. Living with intention. Living more mindfully, living more consciously, just being aware of how you're living your life. This is what I keep coming back to. And I have for many years. Another example of this was I qualified to be a physio back in 2010. And so I got my first job in the NHS. You start at band 5, that's your entry point. And life was good. I had an interview and I progressed and I got the job as a band 6. That interview, I nailed it. Like, I have not done as good an interview ever since or before. And I got a band 6. I got a promotion. I got my now husband. I moved in with him. I got a brand new car. It wasn't mine. It was on lease through the NHS, but it was brand new. I'd never had a brand new spanking car before. But something wasn't right. Something felt amiss. I had everything on paper. I had everything. The place of our own, the guy, the job, living in Cumbria in the Lake District. Like, I had it all, right? Something wasn't right. And I saw people in the NHS and how they were striving and waiting for their pension to really live. Every time they had a birthday in the group, they were like, oh yeah, another year closer to retirement. And I could just see my life flashing before me if I stayed. I was like, this isn't what I wanted to do. This isn't the people I wanted to be around, the job I wanted to do for the rest of my life here. So I left. And that's just an example, And that was, how old was I? 30. Yeah, I was 30. So I want to talk now a little bit about a comment I received, which goes quite well with this. And someone had put on this comment, one of my last videos, about a little story they had where she was, I think it was a cafe she was in or something. She had a chance meeting with someone, some stranger. She didn't see prior, she never saw since this interaction. And I love these things, they're great, aren't they? These chance happenings. And she happened to just be she was chatting and saying about her life at the time, and she was going through big choices, big decisions to make. And do you know what I mean? Like, these kind of conversations that you talk to strangers about quite deeply. I love it. Anyway, she was saying these big decisions she had to make. And she said to this stranger, this random person, but what if I make the wrong choice? What if it goes wrong? And he said something that she said stuck with her for the rest of the time, the rest of her days. And that is, then you'll change again. What happens if things go wrong? Then you'll change again. How freeing is that? That was my comment back. Wow, I love that. How freeing does that feel? We get so caught up in making the wrong decisions, or what if something goes wrong? But what? So what? Change again. It doesn't matter. We don't have to stay fixed to survive. We can learn to flow, to live. So maybe the crisis isn't the big changes that we make in our lives. Maybe the crisis is staying the same and not growing. What are your thoughts on this? Is it a midlife crisis or is it living with intention? Have you been through this or know someone who has? And how did it work out for you or them? I'd like to hear all about it. Thanks for watching. Much love. Bye for now.